Okay, parents, how many of you have heard this inevitable question? Come on, mom and dad, tell me the truth. Is Santa real? And how many of you have struggled with how to answer? Joining us now to discuss is Mount Sinai Parenting Center co-founding director Aliza Pressman, who is also co-founder of Seedlings Group and a developmental psychologist on faculty at Mount Sinai. So, Aliza, with an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old at home, I'm smack in the middle of this demographic. I've gotten this question, and I think the central dilemma is, how long do we hold on to the magic of childhood versus where are we veering into deceptive territory where we feel like we're lying to our kids?
So there's two things. There's what's age appropriate for their cognition. So it's going to be different for a 3-year-old to a 5-year-old, and it's very different for 8 to 10. You are in that sweet spot of dilemma.
Yes.
And then there's what does the child want to actually know?
That's a very good point, because I can tell when my 8-year-old asks me the question, he doesn't want me to answer with the truth. He wants me to say, yes, Santa Claus is. I can tell by the way he's asking the question.
He wants you to validate his fantasy beliefs. And the thing is, once a child starts to differentiate between fantasy and reality, so 3 to 5, you're in a great spot for magical thinking. Once they get to 6, especially 7, certainly deep into elementary school, they're going to start to really differentiate. But when it's something that benefits them, when you really want to believe something because it benefits them, it doesn't benefit you to be an 8-year-old who believes in monsters. So you will move forward with your life. You'll think about the scientific evidence and you'll realize there aren't monsters. But Santa Claus, for a lot of kids, is still a real fun fantasy. So they're going to look at you and maybe say, like, Santa's real, right? And that means yes.
Yes.
Now he is.
Right. And are there other factors we should take into consideration aside from the child's age when they ask this question?
Well, if you're 10 years old and you're asking this question and mom has not considered some of the other answers that you can give, which we can certainly talk about, you have to factor in his social life and what kids are saying on the playground at 10, 11, 12. If you're still buying into something that 1/3 to 1/2 of the kids who did believe in Santa stopped believing, then you have to deal with helping them socially.
Right. Now, I guess what a lot of parents want is, in some cases, permission to keep the deception alive, that we're not lying to our children, we're just helping them create a rich imaginary life, right? Is that true?
Yeah, please.
Please?
So I would go as far as to say it's beneficial for kids, certainly up until the age of 7, to have a rich imaginary life. Helps them with perspective taking, helps them with empathy. We have mythology in all sorts of parts of our lives, not just with Santa. Right. But when the kids get a little bit older, scientific thinking has to come into play.
Sure.
And still family rituals. And you can do both of those things by kind of having them think about the evidence, telling them something that we talked about.
Right, so my line is, tell me if this is okay. I say, I don't know for sure because I've never seen Santa, but I don't know for sure. So I'm saying I haven't seen the evidence one way or the other, which is true. I've never seen Santa.
That's true, and that's true for many faith-based ideas. So you can absolutely say that. You can also, to help them through the scientific process, what's your hypothesis? What do you think? If they want to know a real answer, they will explore that. Right. And then the part of keeping the magic alive, if they do come to the conclusion kind of on their own with your guidance that Santa, in fact, is something bigger than just this magical man, but it's just this idea, you can bring them into the magic and help them become the fantasy maker for the younger.
Well, I was going to say, because if you have the older child, it's usually the older child in the family that ruins it for the younger ones. So how do you sort of get that older child on board?
You pass the baton and give them kind of the privilege of,
coming in on the
grandparent
secret.
told your grandmother told me, I'm telling you, we help make this magic. We have to make it magical for your younger brother in this case.
Bring them into the fold.
Yeah.
Now, finally, I did go on. My 8-year-old son was so curious about whether Santa Claus was real, he decided to do a Google search, which, by the way, is a very popular search. It comes up very quickly. And we found evidence going both ways. We found a YouTube video saying proof Santa exists, and of course, all the other ones saying how to tell your kids that he's not real. So I think it's a great educational tool on how you can't find, you can't trust anything you find on the internet.
Yeah, you can actually use, first of all, if they're old enough to Google is Santa real, they're old enough to start to manage the reality of if Santa is real or not. But also you can go through how ridiculous the internet is. You can find any answer you want. So teaching them what's evidence-based and what is an opinion and what is faith-based, those are all going to be things that you can learn through the process.
That's what I told my son. I said, you can find something on the internet to justify anything you want.
Be careful.
Be careful. Aliza, thank you so much for that, and Merry Christmas.